Live from the Student Union on campus, this is Gold Mine Live. Your weekly all-access pass inside Charlotte Athletics is brought to you by Ortho Carolina. Proud to present the 2018 Charlotte 49ers football season. Bojangles, it's bow time. Harris Teeter, where 49ers fans shop for groceries. University Eye Associates, excellence is eye care. And by Wells Fargo. Charlotte 49er fans, show your pride with a customized Wells Fargo debit card. Stop by your nearest Wells Fargo or visit Wells Fargo Car Design Studio online to learn more. Now, here's your host, the voice of the 49ers, Matt Swierad.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gold Mine Live here today, back at the Student Union as the 49ers for the men are on the road this week. The women are back home. And we both play the two Florida schools, the two South Florida schools, FIU and FAU. It's our first show here in 2019, so Happy New Year, everybody. And it's going to be a split show today with the women's team and the men's team. And first up is Coach Cara Consuegra. Coach, good to see you. Hope you're doing all right today.
Good to see you. Happy holidays. Hope everything went well for you and your family.
Same for you. And you guys have been busy. And, of course, last week we were on the road to start conference season. With the men being here at home, and both teams, had a couple of close ones against Marshall and a couple of tough ones against Western Kentucky. It's been a while since we sat here and talked, so assess for us, how you guys have been doing since really the middle of December.
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of up and down, quite frankly. I mean, I felt like the month of December, we started a little slow. We had 2 losses to Wake Forest and Mercer over a week span where we just didn't play well. We were able to come out of that week. It was finals. We got a lot of great work in, and we won 3 straight games after that. I felt like we were going in the right direction. We were getting better. We were becoming more consistent. And then we hit kind of a bug of some injuries that have really kind of derailed our momentum right now. Had to go play at Virginia and ended up losing that game by 4, but Laya gets rolled up on her ankle pretty good in that game, somehow comes in and finishes the game, but affects her going into conference play. Dara Pearson has been out with a sore knee. She hasn't played since our Wright State game. Jasmine Harris had somebody step on her foot. That's been bothering her. She didn't hardly play at Western Kentucky. We had to sit her against Marshall. Jade Phillips missed a game right after Christmas because she hurt her ankle. Christian Height with a concussion. So it's just been, and it's been different kids. So it just affects your momentum. It affects your chemistry. And, we've lost 3 straight here, but, 2 of those games combined 5 points. And so we're not that far away. And so I think the most important thing for us is we have to stay positive. We have to understand that we can't allow, 1 week or 3 games to dictate us. There's a lot of a season left. And, we just we have to get healthy and we have to get more consistent.
We talked at the start of the season about you guys having some depth this season. So you have that, but also when you have all those injuries, it's not just like 1 or 2. You're changing 5 or 6 pieces in the rotation. They're not all playing together at the same time in these stretches, so it takes some time to develop that chemistry on the floor.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, the hard part has been different kids at different spots. And, now you're subbing this person out to play with somebody you're not normally playing with. Dara was our starting 5 player. Jazz ended up taking her spot. Now Dara's not playing. Now Jazz not playing. Now Kenesha Brown's going into from a reserve role to suddenly against Marshall. We need her to play starter role, starter minutes. She's just not quite ready for that. We don't have the same, chemistry offensively with her as we have with Jasmine. That's just one example. And, it's not excuses. It's just the reality of what you're dealing with. And it just makes it tough. And even with all that being said, we didn't play well at Western Kentucky at all. We looked like a team that had to sit a lot of kids that week. We weren't able to prepare as well as we would have liked to against a very good team that doesn't lose at home. Okay, that's conference play. You got to be able to have a short memory and move on. And we go to Marshall and man, we battled and we took the lead with 8 seconds to go and had a chance to win, playing 5 guards the whole second half because post players were so slim and we just didn't match up well. And we still have a chance with playing 5 guards, which is totally not the game plan, to take the lead with 8 seconds left. So we're still close, even though we're facing a lot of adversity. And, the only way I can look at that is that's really positive, that when we get all these pieces back and we get ourselves back together, we're going to be a better team for what we're going through right now.
We'll talk a bit more about those games a little bit, but let's go back since it's been a while since we've being able to talk during the show. All the way back to the middle of December, you had the Education Day, and what a great day that was for you and this program and the town. The kids that got to come out, new record, 8,200, an exciting last-second win with a three-pointer by Laya to beat Wright State. What was that atmosphere like?
It was incredible. I mean, just a huge shout out to our marketing team and everybody that steps up on campus to help us do that, for us to break that record, have over 8,000 kids there and as a crowd. It was just an incredible turnout, and just, you don't always get to experience that all the time in women's basketball. I mean, we have some good crowds, but we don't have crowds like that typically. And so to give our players that type of experience, and then, on the flip side, to give all those students in Charlotte-Mecklenburg and surrounding the opportunity to come and not just watch us play, but see what it's like to be on a college campus, and see what, if they can put their heart and their effort and their minds into a dream, what could happen for them. I mean, it's a big deal to us, and it was just an incredible opportunity. And we played Wright State, who's very good. I mean, they're ranked in the top 10 in mid-major rankings, so probably win their league. It was a really tough game, and so we needed every single one of those fans to be able to win that game.
I was on the road with the men. I was listening to some of it on the radio. I may not have got the end of it correct. Was that how the game finished?
Yeah, it finished on it was tied. Well, we went into overtime, and then in overtime it was tied. And I can't remember at this point, maybe 3 seconds to go. We advanced it to the sideline out of bounds and passed it into Jade. Jade kicked it out to Laya, which was the play. Laya made a ridiculously great shot fake, got the kid to jump, knocked it down at the buzzer, made Sports Center top 10. So just a really great memory for our kids this season.
She's also passed some milestones this year, too, over 1,000 career points, and assists keep climbing as well. So it's been fun to watch her throughout her time with the 49ers, and looking for a great second half this year in the final season.
Yeah, I'm happy for Laya. I mean, she's not in this for individual accolades. I can tell you that. If you talk to her about it, she probably just say thank you and keep it moving. It's not what's important to her, but at the same time, you still have to recognize to be a 1,000-point scorer, to break our assist record, and to not just break it, she's going to put it pretty far out of reach. That just is just really special, and so it's important to take time to celebrate that, and then hopefully continue to give her some momentum going into the second half of the season. I mean, I think the first half of the season she's been inconsistent, she's been up and down, and I think some of that is her just learning how to play with such a different roster from a year ago. Every year, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things to point out with Laya is throughout her career, she has had a different go-to player every year and different guards surrounding her every year. And you look at her consistency throughout that, it's pretty tremendous, I think, when you look at that. And so I think, that's been a little bit difficult for her, this year in terms of just kind of figuring everything out. But I do feel like she's starting to play at the level we need her to. She played very well at Marshall on Saturday, and hoping we can keep that momentum as we continue into conference play.
You got the two home games this week, FIU on Thursday, then FAU on Saturday. Health-wise, you mentioned a lot of the injuries over the last 2-3 weeks. How you doing right now?
We're okay. It's going to be another tough week, I think, in terms of preparing. You always have to balance that as a coach, like how tough do you go on them in practice, knowing that they're banged up, and then will they be ready for the game? But at the same time, knowing coming off a couple losses, we have a lot of work we need to do. So it's going to be difficult, kind of figuring that out this week. But that's what we have to do, and we'll see what status is on Thursday. I mean, Jasmine Harris is not going to practice today, so she's probably day-to-day for us, which is, that's a huge hole. I mean, that's a kid that's shot 52% from the field for us, close to double figures. I mean, you think about the Marshall game, she doesn't play, we lose by 1 point. She's almost 10-point scorer. It's a different game, and that's just what it is. It is what it is. We have to focus on what we can control and try to get a little bit better at some stuff this week.
Got a couple teams coming in also that'll be hungry. They've dropped their first couple of conference games at FIU and FAU. And just a quick look at what you got coming up this week. Talk about the Panthers.
Well, I think it's always dangerous to look at a team and look at their record. FAU's record is not good, but if you look down, their opponents, their scores, their schedule, they've lost a lot of close games, and they're very young. And so to me, that's just a reflection of their youth. It's hard to win close games when you're young, when you don't have that experience, when you don't know how to do that. It doesn't mean they're not a good team. And, quite frankly, we're at a point where it doesn't really matter who we're playing on Thursday. We need to play well. We need to play hard. We need to protect Halton Arena. We've played very well at home. Where we have struggled has been on the road this season. And so we need to find that team that has played very well at home. And this is an important game for us as we move, coming off 3 losses, moving into the rest of the season. We need to just have a good game regardless, of what FIU is or how they're playing. It really needs to be about us, I think.
Well, you're 6-1 at home. It's going to be also televised on BN Sports against the national TV exposure coming up this Thursday. Students are back on campus on Wednesday. We've got a lot of activity this week going on right now in the Student Union, so hopefully a good crowd on Thursday night, too, for this game.
I hope so. I mean, we've had a great crowd in many games this year. Thursday games are a little tougher than Saturdays, but certainly we've had great support both from the campus and the community this year, which of course we really appreciate, and we've tried to do our job that when we're at home we want to give those fans wins. And like I said, we've played significantly better at home than on the road, so that's something we have to address later when we get back on the road. But we need to have confidence this week going into these games here with our fans behind us, with the way that we've played with confidence at home. We need to continue to find confidence from that and understand that we can play very well on Thursday.
We'll take our first break on the show right now, Coach. Come back, give you a moment away. Going to bring in Jade Phillips, our special player guest today, redshirt junior from Raleigh that joined us, transfer from Syracuse. And they're going to talk to Jade coming up in a moment as we continue with Gold Mine Live here at the Student Union this week. This is the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Bring all the gifts for under the tree. And while you're at it, bring the tree. Ford F-150. Best-in-class payload. Best-in-class towing. Built for the holidays.
Now get 0 for 72 on F-150 or get an additional $1,000 holiday bonus cash on top of other offers at your Carolina Ford dealer.
And welcome back to Gold Mine Live, everybody, here at the Student Union this week on campus. First show here in the new year. And our special guest now is Jade Phillips of the Niners women's basketball team, a redshirt junior guard from Raleigh, North Carolina. And Jade, good to see you. Hope you're doing well here in the new year.
I'm doing good. Hope the same to you.
Yes. And you guys are back home finally to play a couple of conference games this week against FIU and FAU. And this is the first time you get to play this season after sitting out, being a transfer from Syracuse. How's the transition been for you, finally getting back on the floor?
It feels great, especially when you've been waiting for so long to play. And, just to finally get to play and have an opportunity to be eligible to play, it's just amazing, especially all the hard work you put in on the off year while you're waiting. So I feel good, with the new teammates transitioning, trying to get to know them, and with coach's standards and stuff, it feels great to play.
Well, being from Raleigh, going to Syracuse, now coming back here, of course, you've probably been asked this so many times, but I think it's like 60 degrees today, 70 degrees tomorrow.
Right.
A little different than Syracuse in the wintertime, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It'd be times when I go to class and it snows all the way up to my chest. So, it's good to be back home,
Must have been a learning experience, though, playing with the Orange, because that is a good team in the ACC. And what did you learn from that level and taking it now here to this team?
I learned a lot at that level. Even though I didn't play as much, you still learn just being on the team, the amount of focus it takes, for every game, the preparation and the amount of, work you got to do for each game. So I learned a lot, and I tried to tell the team, what it was like when my first year we went to the Final Four, and the amount of focus it took to get there and the work it took, and that's just some traits that I try to bring back to the team. And, that hard work pays off if you do what you're supposed to do. So
getting a chance to play there must have been wonderful, but you also look at what is best for you.
Right.
And spots sometimes are better other places. How has it been better here for you? Why was this a better choice for you?
First I want to shout out Coach Cara, because she still stayed with me while I was at Syracuse, and I was committed already, and she still kept in contact, And also, talking to my mom, she said maybe the best fit is closer to home, you know what I'm saying? So I felt like being back close to home and that they stayed committed to me, it was only right for me to come here. And also the coaching styles is amazing too. I got a connection with them, relationship, and it just feels good to be wanted.
Also a chance being here just a couple of houses away from home, get a chance to play in front of family, right?
Right, a lot of family comes. Yes, that's one thing I forgot to mention. But yes, a lot of family comes when they can, and it just feel good to, to play in front of them. And I ain't played in front of them in like 2 years, so just to share that memory and share them experience with them is just great too.
You had the chance to build as a team over the summertime going to Spain. What was that like?
Oh my God, it was amazing. I try to enjoy every moment there, and I'll be thinking about it today, trying to go back there. But it was just nice, different culture, and learning about my teammate, the one that's from Raventos, the one that's from Spain. Learning about her culture and where she come from, and she's teaching me new things there too. So it was just nice, to experience that with my team.
When you look at this team and this group, you got that bonding experience over the summertime, and I know it's a close group, and a lot of talent on this team. Talk about, what do you like about this team right now?
That we mesh together good. I feel like on and off the court, like we just we got good connections with each other. It's some areas, of growth and stuff, but I feel like through obstacles, we know how to build with each other. We know how to listen to each other, so I like that about this group a lot.
I mentioned I showed you a picture just a moment ago. One of my daughters, Chapel. You're her favorite player. You were her coach during summer camp, and you guys do a great job at that in the summertime. I know you enjoy working with the kids too.
Oh yeah, like I met a lot of little kids there, and it was just great, working with them, and they little passion to play basketball and stuff, and teaching what I know. So it was great connections with all the children, especially your daughters.
When you look at this season, you had the Christmas tournament in Pennsylvania. You were the MVP. There's been really great things that have happened so far this year to build on as you go into conference play, really?
Yeah, we learned a lot through preseasons too, like to get ready for conference play. Like, some tough losses, and there was some great wins that we build off of. So we're just trying to get better every day, and through practices and like us playing each other, trying to get each other better. Like that's what's going to get us ready for conference play.
Coach talked about team being a little banged up with some injuries going on the road last week for your first couple of conference games. What did you take out of that last week now that it's time for conference basketball, which is really it's different than the regular season, the non-conference games?
Right. It's just time for people to step up. When people can't go, we as a unit, like we have to know who's ready to play and who's not. So when we are down people, when our opportunity has come, we have to take it. So. And that just teach a lot about the team because we can do it because we're so deep. So that's great about this team.
What do you feel like right now for your game where you want to see some more improvement too?
Just the little things. I need to work on little things and thinking through, that little my turnovers a little bit and just, slowing down in the game because I am a fast player. So sometimes my fastness kind of go to my head. So if I could just slow down right there and just, let the game come to me, that's one thing I would like to work on this season.
So this week you got FIU and FAU. Hopefully it's going to be a great week for you guys. And good luck getting back into classes. That starts in a couple of days. All so right. The layoff is off, right? The time to get back to work is here.
All right. It's back on the grind.
Jade, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
You too.
Jade Phillips has been our guest here in Gold Mine Live. We'll come back with more with Coach Consuegra. Then the second half hour, we have the Niners men's coach, Ron Sanchez, joining us. Also, Bo Blight's our special player guest on the med side coming up in the second half hour. This is Gold Mine Live with the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Bring all the gifts for under the tree. And while you're at it, bring the tree. Ford F-150. Best-in-class payload. Best-in-class towing. Built for the holidays.
Now get 0 for 72 on F-150 or get an additional $1,000 holiday bonus cash on top of other offers at your Carolina Ford dealer.
And welcome back to Gold Mine Live with head coach Cara Consuegra. I want to thank Jade Phillips for taking some time out on her Monday to join us here at the Student Union and get a few more minutes with Coach as we move forward. We got the FIU game coming up on Thursday, 7 o'clock. Also, Florida Atlantic FAU at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Just go to charlotte49ers.com for more ticket information for either of those two games. Coach, let's talk about the emergence of Mariah Linney during her sophomore season. Can't talk this morning. Put her in the starting lineup recently, and boy, she's done a nice job for you.
Absolutely. I think Mariah was always a player that was right on the cusp of starting. In fact, I spoke to her and another player right when we started to play games, right? We had to name a starting lineup that I felt like we were really in a spot where we could have 6 starters, and I opted not to go with her early. And then I just felt once we got into December, we had some trouble scoring in some areas. We really needed somebody that could stretch the floor for us. And so I made that switch for that reason. I felt like Mariah could do that for us. And I think she's played extremely well since we've made that switch. She's shooting over 40% from the three-point line, taking really great shots. But, even besides her numbers, again, what she's doing is she's just spreading the floor because, Laya creates so much attention and Jade creates so much attention. And, then you got Octavia, who is, still coming off her freshman campaign, and she creates a lot of attention. We just needed, kind of one more scorer to help make it hard for them to bring so much help to those guys. And she's done her job extremely well. She's getting better each and every game defensively. And, I think that was a really important change in our lineup that we needed at that point in time.
It's nice that you've been able to give you that spark, because some teams, have that person coming off the bench a little bit and they get that spark later in the first quarter. But as you mentioned, you needed it at the beginning of the game.
I agree. And I was kind of back and forth about it because when she was coming off the bench, she was bringing us that spark. And I was like, wow, I don't want to lose that. But, again, I just felt like we needed it to start the game, especially with kind of we had a couple games where we had slow starts offensively. And it was because of the way people were playing us, just based on our personnel. And so I do think that was the right decision for the time, and will it continue that way? I don't know. I think so, just with the way that Mariah's been playing. She certainly deserves the spot that she's in right now.
Compliment to her, too, because some players, they don't thrive as well in either role. Some just have to be starting, and others, they come off the bench and play better.
I totally agree. It's always difficult to have those conversations with kids about starting or not starting. As a coach, in your mind, you're like, well, they're both equally important, but players 18 to 22-year-olds don't see it that way, right? And so at the start of the year when I had to tell Mariah she wasn't starting, I know that wasn't easy for her, but she played her role very, very well. And then when I entered her into the starting lineup, she was ready for that opportunity. And also credit to Lauren Harley, who is the young lady whose spot she took in the starting lineup. Lauren, same thing. Like, she understood why we were making the change. Lauren now comes first off the bench, and that hasn't really changed how Lauren's played either. So it's really a credit to both young ladies just being prepared, being ready to do their job, regardless of when it was their turn being called to do it.
It was an exciting game at Marshall on Saturday. You didn't win the game. It was a one-point loss. But for folks that didn't know how it finished, for a coach, it must have been, biting your nails, because it was a chess match the last, 50 seconds of going back and forth with timeouts and plays being made on both sides, and you guys got that last second look that didn't drop that would have won the game, but the lead changed hands a couple of times in the last 40, 50 seconds.
No, I think the lead changed hands almost the entire game, but the good thing is we've been in those situations a lot this season. We've had a lot of close games. We've won many of those, and we felt very confident in that last minute. When we had the lead. Laya hit a ridiculous step-back jumper off of a horns action with under a minute to go, and Marshall comes down. They don't use a timeout, and they bring their best player off a similar horns action. And she ends up getting a wide open look and knocks it down. So they go up one. We take a timeout, and we had scouted them. We knew exactly how they were going to play the sideline out of bounds, which was to switch everything. So we drew up a play basically to fake a screen and slip and to Jade Phillips, which was exactly what we got. She scored at the rim, a layup for us to take the lead. And so then they had the ball with about 8 seconds to go. And we had a couple fouls to give. The first one we executed great. The second one we didn't execute it. So we had left a foul on the board and gave them open layup. Well, I guess it wasn't open. It was contested, but we had an opportunity to take a foul and we didn't. And that's that's how the chips fall sometimes. I mean, you're in tough situations, high pressure situations. You're relying on 18 to 22-year-olds to remember everything and make the right decision. And for most of the season, we have done that. For this instance, we didn't. And all we can do is learn from that and grow. And we still had a look at the end of the game. And it was a good look. We get the ball into Jade. They helped off Laya. She kicked it out. Laya got a pretty good look. She just didn't knock it down this time, and that's the way the ball bounces sometimes. But overall, we executed that last minute very well, except for one mistake. But we all know that in conference play, one mistake sometimes is a difference. Even though there were many mistakes throughout the game that even put us in that situation.
So it's a new week now, and we're back home and take on FIU this Thursday at 7 o'clock. And before we wrap up this half hour of the show, tell us about the biggest challenge, the Bojangles challenge for this game with the Panthers.
Well, I think just containing their penetration. They're very athletic. They're great off ball screens. We have had some issues in terms of containing off of ball screens this year, just based on our personnel. Teams have been putting a lot of pressure on our 5 players to kind of contain the ball, and that's going to be, I think, crucial for us, slowing them down in transition. And then, if we're able to do those 2 things, kind of contain them, contest their shooters, and slow them down in transition, we're going to have a good shot to put ourselves in a position to win the game.
Coach, thanks so much. Enjoy the half hour, and good luck this week against the Panthers and the Owls of FIU and FAU. Have a great one.
Thanks, Matt.
Coach Cara Consuegra joining us in the first half hour of Gold Mine Live. Ron Sanchez, head coach of the men's team, is up next. This is Gold Mine Live on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Bring all the gifts for under the tree. And while you're at it, bring the tree. Ford F-150. Best-in-class payload. Best-in-class towing. Built for the holidays.
Now get 0 for 72 on F-150 or get an additional 1,000 holiday bonus cash on top of other offers at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Well, welcome back to Gold Mine Live. We switch gears now and head over to the men's side of things with head coach Ron Sanchez. And Coach, hope you're doing well this Monday afternoon.
Yeah, no, doing great. Thank you for having me.
So we've got a chance to hit the road again, and we've certainly been no stranger to the road lately. Going down to South Florida this week, take on FIU and FAU. And before we start talking about what's coming up this week, we were home last week, Western Kentucky and Marshall. And for the fans that have been following us, we know that they are aware of, the lack of depth and the injuries that we've suffered. The one in Hawaii really hurt with Malik Martin being out now. Hopefully get back this week, but wasn't able to play last week against Western and Marshall with Cooper Robb still. So shorthanded with the rotation, but boy, the guys fought in the game. If they were out there, fans were out there on Saturday afternoon, that was an entertaining college basketball game. And unfortunately, we came up on the short side, but fun game to watch.
No, I think for the most part, we have been competing fairly hard, even, taking it back to the Christmas break at Hawaii, where, we competed against some pretty good teams. When you start a tournament against a team like TCU and, your next opponent is Rhode Island, and then you have Colorado, you got to fight hard in order to even be in those contests. And, for the most part, the guys have fought.
We had a stretch, too, where we didn't play for a while because of exams and the snowstorm. That seems like it was forever ago, but that canceled one of our shows back in December. And you had the game against East Carolina, but that was the one game between exams and going to Hawaii. So it was a lot of time of you're in the gym working, but not a lot of actual game time.
No, definitely. And those are great breaks. When you can get those, you take advantage of them, where you can try to clean up or, tighten some screws and bolts, as we like to say. And we did take advantage of the break that we had.
So as you look at the quality of competition, too, that you played, especially over the Christmas break, these guys, as they're young and they're learning and what to expect going forward to get to that level. Tough road in Hawaii, but, again, a chance to show them what you can be.
Yeah, no, every opportunity is a learning opportunity. We embrace it as they come. Doesn't matter who the opponent is, whether it's a Power 5 opponent or so it's an exhibition game. It doesn't matter. You always tell our guys you never stay the same. You either get worse or you get better. And every opportunity that you're on the floor is an opportunity to improve. And that's kind of that's our approach.
Also get a chance being over there. We talked about this before the trip, but a chance for these guys to do something that maybe they would never get a chance to do in their life. And you all as a team took them to Pearl Harbor and spent some time there, seeing some of the history of our country and what it takes to do what those men and women do to protect us all the time and keep us safe.
No, it was great. We had dinner the night before, and we discussed the trip that we were going to take. We got up early. And, as a staff, we took the trip to Pearl Harbor, asked the guys to, turn off their phones and be very respectful of, of the experience. And, to their credit, they did embrace it. We dialogued before practice about it, and you can tell that they really learned something at that moment.
As we look at this team and still a lot of basketball left this season, 2 games into the conference season, you want to get healthy first and foremost. But once you get that group all healthy again, it's a team that they showed over the weekend. This is going to be a team that's going to compete throughout this conference season, and there's going to be some good games to watch.
No, I stated before. I think that if we don't come out and play hard, then we'll never have a shot. And honestly, I don't think that we competed as hard as we should have against Western Kentucky. I think we brought more energy and more fight on Saturday versus Marshall, and we didn't execute as well as we wanted to in specific areas. But as long as you have great effort, I think you can manage some of those mistakes.
And this is the first time you're getting to see this with the conference schedule, playing on Thursday, turning around, playing again on Saturday. Not a lot of time to prepare, but you mentioned maybe not playing as hard as you really wanted to on Thursday. With the short turnaround, when you make that point to them, they kind of came out and gave you that effort that next time out, don't you think?
No, they did. They did. And, our approach to them was it has to be a player-led approach. You can't have a coach, jump you in order for you to give great effort. There has to be an internal locker room thing. Again, to their credit, they did. From the beginning of the game, they did show a decent amount of effort. I had to call an early timeout, if I recall correctly, on Saturday because we didn't feel that an individual that was on the floor at the time was doing what was required. And I think it was about 18 and a half minutes left in the first half, and we made some substitutions.
Starting the game, you think of Marshall, and it's a team that scores a lot of points. They want to get up and down the floor, led by John Elmore and C.J. Burks, and the style that Coach D'Antoni wants to play is they want to push the ball up the floor. And you don't think about defense, and in the past they really haven't played a lot. But I thought you look at them this year, they're forcing a lot of turnovers. They're really active. They're long in the passing lanes. And that was one area I thought defensively that they caused some trouble on Saturday.
No, they did. We did have 17, turnovers as a team. Some were travels. Some were, kind of unforced errors on our part. But, I think they are a very complete team. They shoot the ball well. They're trying to defend. I think they're averaging or forcing 18 turnovers a game. We were right there as far as letting them have that number. So I think they do put a decent amount of effort on the defensive side, and they do shoot the ball well. And I think it's a team that's competing on both sides of the floor.
You never know how it's going to be called going in, but they are so aggressive, kind of reaching and slapping for the ball that I thought it was called fairly because there was a lot of calls where they were reaching and trying to knock the ball away. And that being said, a lot of opportunity for both teams at the free throw line, and we did a great job at the free throw line.
Yeah, no, we felt that we could get to the line at a high clip on Saturday, and that was part of our game plan, and we did. We shot it fairly well as well. So I think the refs did a great job on Saturday. I'll say it again. I know it's a tough job, for those guys, but I do feel that the game was officiated fairly well on Saturday.
You mentioned having somebody step up and take control, and we've talked about help for John Davis, but John Davis on Saturday played one of his better games in a non-uniform.
No, he did. He was that was a tremendous offensive performance on his side. We applauded him in the locker room afterwards. It's too bad we couldn't get the W. When you have somebody have a special night like that, you would like to get a win. Along with him, I think that Milos answered the bell as well and kind of stepped up to the plate and gave us a few scores that needed.
He's a guy that I know you feel like can do more of that. Maybe not be a 20-point-a-night guy, but certainly be a 15 to 17 with 7, 8, 9 rebounds, right?
I think he's a double-digit scorer. He should be close to a double-digit rebounder. That's our challenge to him. He needs to be turned on. Contrary to Saturday, on Thursday, I didn't think he showed up. So we challenged him. I know he got in foul trouble and so on, but we gotta be able to play through those, and that's part of his growth. I mean, he is a sophomore. I don't know really how much experience he got last season or how much he learned last season from playing through some mistakes, but I think that he is growing as a player, and that's the goal. To watch guys from one game to another just improve, and I think that he's one that is definitely showing some improvement.
I mean, the offense was nice, but I thought there was a point in that game that really kind of points to what you're talking about in the growth and improvement in just, a 24-hour period. Was late in the game with 4 fouls. Defensively needed to make a stop, and he had a block shot on the baseline, didn't commit the foul, stayed with the play. That was a big play in the game.
No, it was. And he had a few others where he kind of covered for some mistakes that happened, as a second-line defender. We're not a shot-blocking team. We don't have a lot of length on the interior. So it's not as if we have rim protection. And for him to come up with a few deflections and a few, kind of attempted blocks or altered shots, which to us are all the same, definitely shows, his improvement as a player.
Quick word before we take a timeout, because my next guest, going to get him up here in a moment, is Bo Blight. I want you to talk about Bo for a moment. Here's a guy that gives you everything every week in practice. But when you came here, you said to everybody, hey, I don't know you. It's a clean slate. You go out there and show me that you deserve to be on the floor. You're going to play. And he got you 10 rebounds on Saturday.
No, he did, and I'll take it back to Thursday. He was kind of outmatched physically by some guys that were bigger and more athletic, and you just watched his fight. He was in there blocking out and, playing position basketball, and did a pretty good job on Thursday as well. He's a kid that, he's really smart. Whatever he lacks in size and maybe some athleticism, he makes up for with intelligence and following game plans and, being in position, all the time. Again, he's also improving as a player, but he's a guy that shows in practice every day. He does what he did on Saturday and Thursday are the things that he does in practice every single day. Something that's so, not obvious is just blocking out. The reason he got 10 rebounds had nothing to do with him jumping above the rim. He just played a position basketball. He blocked out and went after the ball with 2 hands and gave us an extra possession literally at the end of the game to give us an opportunity to get a shot to win it.
Exactly. That last one with 1.5 seconds to go is because of a rebound in the corner run down by Bo. We'll take a timeout, Coach. Thank you. We'll bring you back in a little bit. Going to bring Bo Blight up here next. Talk to the redshirt sophomore from Charlotte. That's coming up next. This is Gold Mine Live on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Bring all the gifts for under the tree. And while you're at it, bring the tree. Ford F-150. Best-in-class payload. Best-in-class towing. Built for the holidays.
Now get 0 for 72 on F-150 or get an additional 1,000 holiday bonus cash on top of other offers at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live, the first show of the new year. The Niner men are home on Thursday against actually on the road on Thursday against FIU, and then on the road on Saturday against FAU. The women are home, same 2 teams, Thursday and Saturday at Halton Arena. Special guest now is Bo Blight, Niner redshirt sophomore from right here in Charlotte, went to South Mech. And Bo, good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, sir, doing well.
So it's been an interesting year for you for sure, and for fans that don't know, you walked on as a freshman to this team and certainly done a great job with what you've been able to do to help this team improve throughout the years. But slowly but surely you have found a way to get yourself on the floor and now getting considerable minutes. What's that been like for you? Because it's one thing to be part of the team in practice, and you've done a great job, but now to get out there on the games as well, it's going to be a whole different experience.
Yes, sir. It's a completely different experience. When Coach Sanchez got here, I had a conversation with him when in his office when we first started up, and I told him, I'm going to do whatever you need me to do for this team. I'll be that player that's there in practice every day, pushing the guys ahead of me, but I'm not satisfied with that. So, my ultimate goal is to become kind of a consistent rotational player. And now that I've experienced those minutes, I'm still not satisfied with that. That just kind of increases the hunger to keep going and wanting to get better. So it's just kind of every step of the way, you get a little bit more of a taste to be better.
Talk about the transition going from South Mech here to Charlotte as a walk-on and making the team first of all and being a part of the program and now getting to this point. Right.
So coming out of South Mech, I had previously known Coach Price, who was here before, and he gave me the opportunity to come to the school and kind of walk on the team before before I graduated from high school. So I got here in the summer and kind of went through that whole like summer session and first few days of practice with the team, and we decided that it was a good fit. So I just got to stay on and keep working with the guys, and loved every minute since.
As you get out there now, the game, I always say it's a little different, practice speed, game speed, and having not had a lot of time on the floor since high school, what was that like, the transition, because of the speed of the game?
Well, yeah, so obviously it is a little bit different, but one thing that Coach Sanchez does a great job of in our practices is making us uncomfortable. Doing things at 70-80% isn't acceptable to him. So, I mean, when we're practicing at 100%. So although it is a little bit different just because you're going up against different guys every single day, the pace of play and all that, it's not too much different because we're going after each other in practice.
Getting those minutes now, you had 30 minutes on Saturday against Marshall. That game was interesting in that it's an up and down pace, and you guys are right there with the herd. You get that big rebound at the end, which was your 10th rebound. Take us through that game, and for you, talk about Coach saying, knowing where to be, boxing out. It's not about jumping over somebody or being more athletic, but being in the right spot.
Right. Yeah, they've done a great job preparing us to know where we need to be on offense and defense. So, for us, it's not hard to, as a team, to figure out where we need to be and also where other people need to be. So if I'm on the ball, I know that I have two guys behind me that are there in my help if I'm guarding a guy that's quicker than me. And then I also know that I have to be there for them. So, just going throughout the game, the guys on our team and the staff make it a lot easier to play because it's not just one-on-one on offense or defense.
When you look at the finish, you got the rebound on the corner, had the presence of mind, called timeout, 1.5 on the clock, gave his team a chance again with John Davis. Playing along with JD on a night like that where he's knocking down shots. What's that like? You want to get him the ball, right?
Yeah, it's special. John is a really special player. I don't think I've played with a talent like him before. And, after I grabbed that rebound, we came out of the timeout, and I told him that the shot was going in. What we had drawn up, I felt like we had a really good chance of making it. Unfortunately that didn't happen. But, just to be on the floor with him that night was special because that was an impressive performance he put on.
Now for you, Bo, as you go forward, you got a couple games this week on the road. Where do you want to see your game still improve this year to keep getting these opportunities?
I feel like personally I coined myself kind of as a shooter, so I would love to kind of add like a stretch 4, stretch 5 portion to our game where, teams can't really pack in the lane as much when I'm in because they have to worry about me being out on the three-point line if things continue the way they continue. And, I think the way our offense runs, that could be really helpful to the team.
You knocked one down the other night. What'd that feel like?
That was a good feeling. Yeah. The way I've always played, I kind of have like a pretty straight-faced expression. And after I hit that one, something happened over, and we got called to the benches. And JD is one of my good friends. We've been here for 3 years together, and he looked at me. He was like, "It's all right for you to smile." And I was like, that's when I kind of let some emotion go a little bit. But yeah, it was a really cool moment.
Now you got that first one behind you.
Right.
It's all smooth sailing going forward, right?
Yeah, it's just the jitters that kind of get you out the first few games on the floor. Because like you said, this is the first time 2.5 years that I've been in a game environment, and especially going from playing in front of, a few hundred people in high school to playing in front of 5,000-6,000 people. It's a little bit of a different adjustment, but the jitters are starting to go away, and it feels more comfortable now.
Finally, one last question. Tougher on the road or at home for you? I would think maybe at home because of family and friends watching.
Yeah, so it's a little different. On the road, it's the crowd is obviously the away crowd is there and they're going at you, but I kind of like that. So yeah, I'd say being at home is a little more tough because you have family, friends up there, and like every aspect of the game is looked at from whether it's my dad or just some friends that are like, hey, you did great with this, but we saw you need to work on this. And so, it's just taking everything in.
Well, Bo, it's been great. Congratulations on your success so far this season. Have a great rest of the second half. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Bo Blight's been our guest here on Gold Mine Live. Got a few minutes left of the show. We'll come back with the head coach Ron Sanchez to wrap it up. Talk about what's coming up this week, which is down to South Florida to take on FIU and FAU. This is Gold Mine Live with the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Bring all the gifts for under the tree. And while you're at it, bring the tree. Ford F-150. Best-in-class payload. Best-in-class towing. Built for the holidays.
Now get 0 for 72 on F-150 or get an additional 1,000 holiday bonus cash on top of other offers at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live. We're joined again by head coach Ron Sanchez. I want to thank Bo Blight for taking some time and stopping by. And we got a few minutes left of the show. The Niners are on the road this week down to FIU and FAU. And right now the Panthers of FIU coming off a loss at UAB, but they split their road trip. They won at Middle Tennessee on Thursday and lost one to the Blazers on Saturday down in Birmingham. Right now 10-5 coach for both FIU and FAU. And for FIU, look at the bow time challenge to the biggest challenge going into this game. Maybe a little bit like Marshall in that they turn you over. The pace is really high. They want to score close to 100 a game. So protecting the basketball is pretty key.
No, it is. And they it's not just the pressure. It's that they will pick you up full court, throw different types of presses at you, and you just got to be very sharp and sure-handed with the basketball. Got to make sure that we don't have live ball turnovers, and obviously that relates to our transition defense and so on. But if we can take care of the ball, that would be a huge thing for us on this weekend.
The way you guys ran your offense against Marshall, it's kind of almost, when you look at this, and the schedule's not been favorable, but this might be in that you've got back-to-back games, kind of similar styles, and the offense did do such a nice job against Marshall.
No, it is. We were actually discussing that this morning in our staff meeting. Talking about how, at least the prep will be similar. Maybe we can spend a little more time focusing on us, the next couple of days, considering that we have been working on similar things, over the past 2 weeks.
Defensively, how do you feel like you guys did do against the Herd? Elmore didn't really have a great game. C.J. Burks had a really good first half. They kind of spread things around, but since it's a kind of a similar type of team defensively, how did you feel like you played?
I think we played okay. With one-day prep is challenging, especially for a team that spreads you out. They're pretty much 5 guys around the perimeter. Set a lot of actions that put you in a bind. With slips and ball screens and separates and things of that nature. They move the ball very, very, very quickly. You have to be alert. I think we did an okay job. I think at times they caught us off guard and we didn't exchange appropriately, man-to-man, so on. But again, we did contest enough shots. I think, we did. I think that the parts that hurt us the most, I think there were areas that we beat ourselves, with either low hands or not being in the right position.
A lot like Marshall, too, this team is sharing the ball, making that pass like you're talking about, 16 assists a game. But also like Marshall, not a great rebounding team. And we were, I think, +8, +9 on the glass against the Herd.
Yeah, thanks to Bo Blight.
Thanks to Bo.
Our guards actually did a really good job rebounding this past game. I'm hoping that they can continue to trend in that direction. We didn't give up as many offensive rebounds, especially against a team that shoots it from the 3. Usually have a lot of long rebounds, and I think our guards did a pretty good job. I think Toke had 5. I'm not sure. I think maybe JD had 5. So, from the perimeter, we did rebound the ball fairly well.
You mentioned Milos having a really good game. Also, Brandon Younger did a nice job for you, and he's a guy that when he started the game maybe made a couple mistakes, and you brought him back in, and he made some adjustments and made some big plays for you.
Yeah, our challenge to the young guys is that they have to learn on the fly. You can't continue to make the same mistake over and over again. You have to adjust. If I have to take you out of the game to discuss those things, it's going to be really hard for you. So you have to don't repeat the same mistakes twice. Kind of get out there, learn immediately, and then apply what you learn right away. And that's usually the sign of a player that's improving. And I think it was one area that Brandon needs to continue to grow in.
Well, Coach, thanks so much. We're out of time this week, but appreciate you stopping by and talking. It's been a while since we've had a show, but we'll start doing this again pretty much every Monday. going forward. And good luck this week against FIU and FAU.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Head Coach Ron Sanchez joining us, Gold Mine Live. We will be back next week, but to join us, our next broadcast coming up at 7 o'clock on Thursday from Miami. Our pregame show starts at 6:30. I want to thank Coach Consuegra, also Jade Phillips, Bo Blight, Coach Sanchez. I'm Matt Swierad. So long, everybody.